To Journeys with John number 9. We are in John 16:5 to the end of 17. Now, as you read through this little chapter in a bit, you will realize that there is a lot of Jesus talking here. This is part of the final discourse, which runs from John 14 to the end of John 17. This is the final instructions, the last words, the hear this before we go and do the next big thing. Part of John and Jesus's conversation with the disciples. These are the last words that Jesus wants his disciples to hear, to understand, and to see. And in John 14 and in John 16, Jesus starts talking to them about the one who was coming. And the poor disciples must have been very confused, because why had there had to be someone who was coming? Why couldn't Jesus just say? But Jesus continues to say to them, I am going back to the Father, but don't worry, don't freak out. I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to leave you as orphans. I'm not going to leave you stumbling around in the dark. I'm going to leave you someone who will continue to bring you to revelation. The one who is coming will help you see the truth. The one who is coming will help bring sin to light, who will bring judgment, that is an understanding of what is wrong, what is dark, and what is good, light, into this world. So John continues to use this imagery when he is explaining to us what the disciples heard at that night. So we know from this imagery that the one who is coming is good. The one who is coming is going to be a revelation of God, just like Jesus was, just like the temple was, just like the tabernacle was, just like the cloud of fire was. But this revelation is going to come in a whole completely different way that we're going to get to as a combined group of people later on in the book of Acts. But have you ever stopped and thought what this looks like for you? As a theology student, we had lots of big diagrams on lots of whiteboards and lots of notes about how the triune God between the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and how the Holy Spirit loves the Father because of the Son, and the Son loves the Holy. You can imagine how many whiteboards and how many books and how many essays have been written on this topic. But this mention of this Holy Spirit for you, what picture does that bring in your head? I grew up in a Pentecostal church, and in the early 1990s, there seemed to be a very specific picture. There's a picture that I saw when I was about 8 of people falling down. A picture I saw of people laughing and not really being able to stop. A picture I saw where people cried and they didn't know really how to stop. And it worried me, and it made me frightened, and it made me a little bit confused. And I asked my parents lots and lots of questions, and it was something that I couldn't understand. And the best description that my parents gave me was, this is what happens where God, maker of all things, meets with human. This is what happens. And that picture has kind of struck me through the years, and it's kind of left me with this interesting and not complete view of who the Holy Spirit is. It took a whole lot of time in theology class. It took some time reading books and having conversations. It took some time understanding these passages about the gifts of the Holy Spirit and the fruits of the Spirit and the Pauline letters to understand that the picture I had growing up was just a small part of who the Holy Spirit was. So I want to ask you, have a think about what it means for you to be aware of the Holy Spirit. What is the picture that is in your head? What is the framework that you hear when we say the Holy Spirit? Like me, is there a bit of hesitancy because there was an experience or an action or a viewpoint that happened maybe in the past? Is there some understanding of this is someone who's going to give us gifts so we can be built up to share God's kingdom? And if so, what does that look like in your life? We're going to be spending a lot of time thinking about how the Holy Spirit moves us as God's disciples and all of those who've loved Christ, both historically in our church and until the day he comes again. And this is going to come up a lot in the book of Acts. So as you read through this little bit of John, as you thought about what's happened in John 14, as you begin to understand this amazing gift that we have in the Holy Spirit now, just take a little bit of time to define in your own mind, in your own heart, and maybe with others too, about what this Holy Spirit means, who this Holy Spirit is, because it's going to be a topic that comes up a lot. And it might be a good time just to do a check, so you're not afraid or surprised or bamboozled when it comes to the book of Acts, and nor are you surprised or confused or bamboozled when the Holy Spirit talks to you. Have a good day. We'll see you guys real soon. We're doing well.